Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 113 of the Bonehead Podcast, where we talk all things Blood Bowl. Jingle. Welcome back. I'm Ben, and once again, I'm joined by Blood Tithe Ben. BT, how's it going?
Going great. Thank you.
Good. And we've also got Tio extraordinaire Ian Triple Pow Trips. How you doing today?
Not too bad, evening all.
Oh, he's got his shiny light thing going on in the background. I'm just surprised it's not more just red for Sith, like the entire time, Trips.
Oh, that can be done, but you've got to really wind me up for that.
Instantly went red.
Oh, man, and there it goes. Cool. So, BT, episode 113, which is ridiculous. It's April now, which is ridiculous. What are we talking about today?
Simple topic. We're just going to be talking about developing league teams, you know, how they work, like things you need to look out for, things you might want to look out for, and things like that. Just little conversation topic on what we think about league.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years of Blood Bowl 2020 now. Obviously, when it first landed, the world was kind of in lockdown. We've had Blood Bowl 3 come out as well, so there's lots of leagues going on and lots of kind of team development. So it seemed like a good time to actually be like, oh, you know what? We've got multiple teams that we've played through. We can have a really good chat about the league development system, which should be pretty good fun. And like BT mentioned, there's actually quite a few bits of Blood Bowl news to look at today. So let's delve right in. Okay, Blood Bowl news. Ben just jumped in then and mentioned something that we'd completely missed, which is awesome, which reminded me of something that I hadn't put on the show notes, which was actual Games Workshop news. In the view of Withergrasp Double Draw. So, have you guys had a chance to look at the Withergrasp model?
Yeah, love him. Yeah, really love him.
So, Withergrasp is a Chaos player. We don't know if he was a beastman. I think he was just a Chaos lineman, like a human dude who just got converted into Chaos. Anyway, he looks like a two-headed Ungor with a Kira arm, replaced like Akira-style tentacles on one side of his body. And it is a pretty cool model. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of the actual star player rules for him. He's just that Edge 4, even though he's got two heads, which means he's dodging out on a 3+. But it just, I don't know. The fact he's got tentacles and tackle and stuff makes him, I think, a pretty good marker. Trips, I feel like you said, actually, he might be really great as a gutter runner getter.
Yeah, definitely a sort of an anti-hack phlegm, anti-gutter runner. Anything that's an anti-gutter runner is a big score in my book.
Remember, hack phlegm is strength 3, Ben. So...
This guy actually was one of the
sidestep.
This guy was actually one of the first stars that I played against. I remember, like, this was like one of my first Blood Bowl things. It was against Richard. I think he used him on Renegades.
Rich used to use him a lot.
With the grasp, are you sure?
Yeah, as like a safety.
I thought he loved Lewd Grip. Lewd Grip was his guy.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of actually.
Between the two, I think.
I feel like it was with the grasp actually. I really do.
It might have been.
And as like a safety, because he just absolutely, like, I remember just caned some elves that would ever break through.
We do need to see Lewd Grip come back. Lewd Grip would actually be a really solid star player positional for Chaos, because he had a bit of sure hands and stuff as well. So that would actually kind of be a useful thing.
Yeah, he did things you couldn't do with Chaos.
The challenge with this guy is that actually I don't know how much better than just a 2-die blitzing beastman he is. I mean, I know he's got tackle and stuff, but 1 dice with tackle or 2 dice without tackle is kind of like I throw the 2 dice without loner. But I mean, skill set wise, tentacles, prehensile tail, tackle,
they're all like good, like just in case if you do get that push, like that is still quite a thing to watch out for. Like tentacles of strength 3 is not really that much of a problem, but
I actually don't mind the idea of using this model as just a beastman in a Chaos team. I know it's a very expensive way to do it because Forge World tends to be, significantly pricey, but it is a cool model. I think it's always good when you pick up a star that you can just use the model for. This is why I like Skrorg so much, is because I'm like, I love that model. I'm never ever ever going to run Skrorg, but he's my Yeti.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, that's a really good one. So actually, this guy, you could just run him as a Beastman, or he'd go lovely in a Chaos Renegades team as something, which is pretty cool. Now, on the note of Withergrasp, Fanath went and dropped a version of him almost immediately after the article came out, like literally a day, maybe 2 days after.
It felt like they had it ready to just upload,
which might be reasonable given that the rules for him had been out. They came out in the Almanac, didn't they? So I mean, to be fair, they've been waiting on this drop for a little while. It's an interesting timing piece. I know we talked about this a bit actually in Nottingham, didn't we, Ben? About like third parties just kind of ambushing Games Workshop releases, and how it's really, I don't know, it's a really interesting and complicated market space at the moment.
Yeah, it's a lot harder for them to put out stuff after they release it. It's like they've got a drum up pipe, which allows the third parties to jump in, which is great for us. So,
oh no, it's
we're
brilliant.
Consuming the winners here. So.
Oh yeah, it's great for the no patience. Oh, I want it today. Oh, I can have it today.
Yeah.
I want to run this guy. Where can I get him? I can pick up the Fanath one now, or I can wait several weeks probably for the Forge World one. It's an interesting one. I am a real big fan of a lot of what Fanath does, but this one does not tick the box for me. I think it's fine. I actually massively prefer the Games Workshop version.
Yeah, me too. I think the Forge World one absolutely knocks it out of the park. I think the tentacles are just it's very clear that's the prominent thing. I feel like this looks like a mutated Nurgle lineman.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks like you could put 3 or 4 in a team and paint them up slightly differently, and it would look right rather than sticking out as a star player.
I mean, for €8 though.
Yeah, exactly. I know which one I'd rather buy. That's the thing.
That's €8 for the resin version, and I believe they've released this as an STL as well. I need to do the thing, I think, and
even better.
Pick it up. STLs, are you there? Because the Snake Man is $3.50.
That's obscenely good, isn't it?
That was a real this dude €3.50 as well.
Go. That's exactly what I'd get if I really wanted a loot grip. So not a loot grip with the grasp. Okay, maybe it was loot grip before.
You are convincing me more and more that it was loot grip.
Yeah. Buy it, print it, prime it, play with it, put it back at the back of the cupboard, all in 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I think there's always an important part of the build up. I think having that time to anticipate a purchase and get that thing in there. We talked about release stuff and timings, and actually sometimes Games Workshop have it too long. And it's big company, so like the Tree Man and everything. We always talk about the Tree Man as being the example of how too long it is. But actually, a couple of weeks for a star player, I think it works really well. And their team releases, where they drop the team and the pitch and the stars, has been brilliant. So I like that, but this is just an interesting one where it leaves them really open to being ambushed. But there is a Withergrasp double draw available from Fanath. I haven't seen Brute Fun do one yet. I'm not sure he's planning on doing one anytime soon, so we're safe. Talking of Brute Fun, it's the first podcast of the month, which means it's a Patreon heavy one. Have you seen his most recent masterpiece?
So much. I love these. This is my favorite team they've done, and I don't think I've said that about every release so far, but definitely a couple. But man, continues to knock out of the park. These, they're just perfect, aren't they?
Even the line goblins are so good. Oh, I did a fun thing today though. I had a little bit of space on a plate, so I grabbed all of the line goblins, scaled them down to 65%, and chucked them on there because I was like, "Oh, can I use this as snotlings? Can I use these as little snotlings?" And yes, they are awesome as little tiny snotlings. But no, this team is awesome. If you caught the Stock Up Sunday last week, you'll see that I actually painted some and put them on the spinny base. And they've just been so much fun to paint. I just can't. I think it's funny, Ben, you said this is your favorite one. I think I actually said that in the print to pitch video as well. I was like, this might be my favorite team for a long time from anybody, because it's just perfect.
Yeah, it really is. the troll as well is just great.
Yeah.
Like, this reminds me a lot of the yeah, he's like what they did the Warhammer Underworlds one. There's like that Mollog. Yeah, he reminds me a lot like Mollog, just like scaled and repurposed for Blood Bowl, and like, you know,
we saw a load of Mollog conversions as well, didn't you, for Underworld Trolls?
Yeah, exactly. This guy's great for that. So.
This guy is perfect for an Underworld Troll. So this is part 1 of the release. You get a troll, you get 4 goblin linemen, 1 goblin lineman as well with a net. So 5 goblin linemen, really. We'll come back to why there's a guy with a net. And then you get all the goblin positionals. You've got a guy with a squig on a piece of wood as your chainsaw, which is amazing. You've got a goblin being dragged around by a squig as your fanatic, which is amazing. You've got a goblin feeding potions to squigs that he is then going to throw as bombs as your bomber. You've got a really wicked hopper, like a squig hopper as your pogo player. And you've got a doom diver in the form of a bat squig, again, very much like the Underworlds team, Ben.
Yeah.
Just literally dragging a dude around, like just straight up dragging him across the pitch, which is so cool. And you get a squig as well. Now, the squig is of no use to you if you're running a goblin team, but not only does this work very nicely as a goblin team, this is part 1, so next month you're going to have Troll 2, Knowing Brute Fun, a bunch more stuff, but you've got all the goblin positionals, plenty of linemen, and a troll that you can mirror with a different head style. So actually, if you want a goblin team, 1 month of Brute Fun's Patreon will have you very, very, very sorted. But the netter and the squig allow you to run this team. But I forgot about the Madcap Mushroom Addict, who is your hooligan, as 2 different Fumble secret teams. So it's the Night Goblin team. The positionals are there for the Madcap Mushroom Addict. Now, this is something we genuinely need to check out. Because we've been wanting to get secret league teams to the pitch again, and this is the best time to do it, I think. So there's a Night Goblin team where there's a netter and a mushroom addict who gets like Mighty Blow and stuff, which I think is really fun. And then you've got the makings of a squig team. Now, next month he's going to pad it out, but the squig team is I want a squig team, right? And he's gone and done a squig team.
You're not going to get better than this. Like, that is
no way.
Genuinely true.
The only thing that could be terrible is if Games Workshop actually does produce a squig team, like I've been clamoring for, and they change up the positionals. But that means that next month there's going to be another squig, and then a really big squig, and then a mangler squig, and then a squig gobber thing, shooty thing.
Perfect.
Ooh,
this is so good.
Yeah.
I love the creativity of this. Like I think the fanatic of the squig lobbing a goblin around on a chain is just that's perfect. That's everything I wanted in a goblin team. And like you said, the cave squig the squig bat. Sorry. Yeah, it's super good. Super good.
What I like about these ones is you look at them and you go, they're just fabulous miniatures that you can play fantasy football Blood Bowl with. They are just fabulous miniatures. You could definitely see yourself going, what other game systems can I use these?
I've told him this. I was like, dude, if you just put weapons on them, the Age of Sigmar people will come flocking. And he's like, nah, I like Blood Bowl.
Legend.
I know. I'm like, hey, I'm super okay with that. I'm a big fan of the multi-use aspect of it, where you've got the goblin team and then there's actually a couple of secret teams there. I mean, the hardest thing about secret teams are finding the models. I mean, some of that's fun, like converting and everything, but this is one of the first, it's definitely the best example of a secret team actual you can just go buy, which is really big. But yeah, Brute Fun, definitely go and support him. Then, the biggest surprise dropped this month, and I am absolutely smitten with this team. So, Punga have got an STL Patreon as well, and every month they release a part of a team, and every month it's, generally speaking, a pirate team. So, ahead of the printer pitches every month, I print about 15 plank bases. for pirate stuff in anticipation of a pirate team. And then Punga go and drop their preview for this one, and it's Chaos Halflings. And part 1 is out this month, where you get a tree man, 5 linemen, line halflings, and 2 halfling hefties. And this might be my favourite Punga team. It is so good. Have you guys checked this out?
Oh, I can't wait for this full team. Like, this is perfect. I'm really weird when it comes to halfling teams. Oh, look at him.
The tree man is so good.
I'm really weird when it comes to halfling teams. I haven't actually seen any I really like ones that really kind of speak to me. This one I love, and straight off the bat, like, it's not even for halflings. It's like good. Yeah.
So yeah, month 1 you got the 2 hefties and 5 halflings. Now, if you're not opposed to a bit of mirroring, you are able. You're done. Okay, get a tree, mirror it. One of the halflings you designate as your catcher. Maybe, I don't know, the one running, like one of the chaos guys running. You just nominate them as your catchers, paint them with a different ring base or whatever, and you can fill out the team immediately. I think the hefties are brilliant, but the fact part 2 is coming is awesome, and I was not expecting it. I really like their pirate halfling team. I think it's my favorite one of their pirate teams, although I do like the orc one actually. But the halflings they're just really spot on. And these ones here, like, this is it. We've talked about 2 Patreon releases. Both of them are scaled perfectly, which makes me so happy. After Torchlight last month with the little lizards that were just flipping tiny, I was like, okay, well, I didn't bother using the pre-supports for this team. I just chucked them on myself, did the supports myself. I'm absolutely loving pushing the threshold with 0.2 light supports everywhere. Like, that's kind of my go-to now, because when you rip them off, it's like printing into nothing. It's amazing. So I chucked them on, printed them all. I was like, right, let's check out the scale, and they're perfect. Like, they're perfect. They just nailed it, and I just love this one. And I need to see you paint this tree man, Ben.
Well, I will be soon. I was actually really debating. I'm going to take Stunt in the next league, and we'll talk about that in the league section. And I was so sold on Brute Fun Goblins, and I think it's still going to be. But then this drops like the time where I'm just like, maybe I do halflings for once, because I have done goblins before. So yeah,
you have. I mean, do the halfling team, and then when we do the secret team, you could do a squig or night goblin team.
Yeah, I think that'd be good fun.
Because I've got to say that painting up the goblins, I painted them up in several different styles from Brute Fun, because I sat there and I watched Mando 4 episodes of Mando, and just painted goblins, and I was like, this is really nice. I have a really good time.
What life's about.
Yeah. I was like, no, you know what, I'm in a bad mood, I'm gonna go paint things. Okay, we got another cool team out this month, which is the Amazon team from Ugni. So he's dropped this, 14 players, I think 8 linemen, 2 blockers, 2 blitzers, 2 throwers. STL's dropped yesterday. There's a thrower and a couple of linemen still pending, but otherwise the team is out. I've got them on the printer at the moment. And I really like the look of this team. So the Games Workshop Amazon team, I love the roster. The roster design is amazing. The team was, was C+. Like, it was fine. Didn't hate it. The only thing I really struggle with is the blockers being smaller, and it just that whole thing kind of ruins the whole team for me. Now, we've got Dungeon Bowl coming up soon, as in we've got the Dungeon Bowl series, and we'll be filming that in 4 weeks' time, which I'm super excited about. And I was like, yeah, we need a Heavens team, and yeah, you can't have a Heavens team without taking blockers. You've got to take the blockers. They're just too good, right? And then, boom. He drops this team. Ugly drops this team, and I'm a really big fan of it. They hit the Amazon motif. They've got kind of big helmets, big Sonic helmets, but it's, I don't know. I really like it. What do you guys think about the Amazon team?
So my favorite Amazon team that got released was the Punga one, and this one I prefer, actually. So I was really sold on the Punga one, and then this one came out, and I'm just like, actually, I think this takes it, and we're in this really good place where everything coming out is just phenomenal. I don't know what's happening.
No, it makes me really anxious.
Yeah, there's some scarily good artists out there. This is
it makes it quite difficult when you want to pick a new team, because there's like 5 new good teams every month, and then you go, right, I shall settle on a race. Oh no, that has not helped me. I now have 5 different really cool third-party miniatures.
I'll do a halfling team. Okay, do you do the pirate halfling team? Do you do the Games Workshop halfling team? Do you do the Chaos halfling team? Do you convert your own halfling team? It's just dumb. The thing I'm cross about is that Ugly, Brute Fun, and Punga are all doing 2 to 3 month cycles of teams, and they're all synced up. It's so frustrating. I was like, so part 1 of Good, they're all coming at part 1, have all landed in the same month. That it's the worst. It's like, just one of you delay a little bit, so that we've got a little bit of focus, because having 3+ awesome new teams drop during the same week, it's just, well, hey, this is why we did the podcast of the week, right, about release speed. No, I love the sculpts. I think they're very reasonable. I just think they're great fun. The throwers are not brilliant. I think I probably had to lean a little bit too hard into the fact that they had snakes, but
yeah, I think I like the one on the left. The one on the right, the posters do it for me much. Yeah,
it doesn't shout throw, does it?
No, these are the ones that are a little bit strange, but actually, yeah. You know what? If there's one model that you don't massively like in a team of 14, then, I don't know, you're better off than having 2 sprues of them. And the blockers are of suitable size. I was really happy when I put them on the plate to support them. I was like, okay, the blockers look, I was like, that's a blocker. Like, that's what you want, right? To say that's a blocker makes it very clear.
Yes.
I mean, as far as Dungeon Bowl goes, they're all going to be blockers, right?
Yeah, no, really cool team. I also, the coins make me really happy. I'm currently in a D&D campaign set in Chult, which is kind of like, dinosaurs and that kind of thing, and I really want to use them. I want to print them out and just play with them. Makes me really happy.
So that's Ugly. We've also got a fun little thing from Torchlight. So Torchlight do a whole team every month, which I think is just absolutely crazy. They're very cartoony, but Torchlight's most recent offering is an ogre team that is just properly Warhammer Fantasy Battle ogre themed. So you've got like the Mongolian style hats, or the step stuff, and you've just got like little. It is cartoony and exaggerated, but I've printed these out again for print to pitch. The problem with this is I like to do a print to pitch for these ones that are releasing. The difficulty is the way there's 5 I need to do. I end up spending that time printing them, and I'm late. It's the 5th, and I haven't even put one out yet. Although one will be going on Patreon later tonight. They're so cool. They are really fun. They look super fun to paint, even if they are cartoony.
Yeah. No, they do actually. These look really paintable. Not huge on the faces for me personally, but I know that it's a vibe that I don't. Yeah,
well, it's kind of Torchlight's jam, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which I think his dwarf team was the worst one. The faces on that were really bad. 6 ogres, 10 snotlings, a coin, and a turn marker for this one. I also got excited when I saw that it was Khan, because it just made me think of Khans of Tarkir. So immediately I was like, ooh, which was my favourite Magic the Gathering set of all time. The snotlings are fine. They're basically the same sculpts as the goblin ones he did. I love the goblin team that Torchlight did. I love the orc team that Torchlight did, and I really love the corn team, with the exception of the corn dogs. That corn team that we used for 7 Super Series.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they were lovely.
A little bit cartoony, but actually I thought it was a really good kind of balancing point. The Games Workshop corn team is lovely, but dude, there's some detail on that one. Whereas the Torchlight one was like, I'm going to paint this bit gold, and then you're done. I was like, oh, okay. Okay. It should have been brass, really, but hey. So no, he's dropped an entire ogre team. And again, this is another Patreon that's just dropping a team a month. Torchlight has got that stylistic choice. Trips, have you got any of the Torchlight ones, or do you kind of not your bag?
I haven't got any of the Torchlight ones, I think purely because I've got to the point where I've got so many unpainted teams that I'm trying not to print 3 more and put them all in the queue.
That seems fair. It's because you're busy downloading Cyberforge every month, that's why.
Yes.
What was it this week? 17 gig?
It was only 15.5 gig this month.
That is every month. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's the point where you're like, I'm going to need another storage device for the STLs that I still am not printing.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about STLs is they're a digital file, so you don't need a cupboard to store them unless you subscribe to Cyberforge, because you will genuinely need a cupboard to store the USB drives. 15
hard drives at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That is incredible. That is just incredible. Oh, actually, I don't want to hit the Kickstarter just yet because Ben suggested a thing, didn't he?
Yeah, I saw this one pop up on Reddit the other day, actually.
Let's go here.
By the other day, I mean, I saw this today. It showed up on Reddit the other day.
Earlier today.
Yeah, but this one's actually really cool. It's not from a company I've heard of, actually, if I'm being fully honest. I don't know if we've been. What was the name?
So we've got Realm of Paths.
That was it. Realm of Paths,
which we'll have a look at in a second. So this is the Tomb Undead, the Beatles. Here's one I backed earlier, as Ben kind of addressed. Yeah, I hadn't seen this come through either. This is amazing. So they've done a well, Ben, talk us through it, man.
Yeah, so we've got a Tomb Kings team, which is nice because we don't see too many of them. And yeah, we've got, all the positionals, your coins, standard release. But I just think they're really nice. Like, they're really, clear positionals. The Tomb Guardians look epic. Yeah, I just really like it. It's very distinctly Egyptian.
I really like the faces on this. They remind me of the Vortice Tomb Kings team, where they had like the skulls, but the skulls were actually a little bit expressive.
Yeah, kind of like almost like stretched skin kind of look.
Yeah, but even the even
the skeletons.
Do you know the skeleton? They've got a bit of a Evil Dead vibe.
They do. Yeah. No, I was literally thinking, where do I recognize them from?
And they've got that proper chunky feel that
Yes.
Tomb King should have. They should not feel sort of lithe and agile. They should look intimidating on the pitch.
They are a bit derpy. They are a bit fun. The details are, they're not, this is kind of halfway between Torchlight and something else, isn't it? This is kind of like, they've got the cartoony, it looks bold, actually. Not like, that is a strong design choice. It looks bold as in like Control B, which is probably not a great descriptor, but I think it fits, and I can't see the Egyptian stuff without immediately thinking of Stargate. So that makes me happy too. But the Tomb Guardians are wicked.
Yeah. They're really...
Yeah, man, that's a great find. It's just, it's like, it's got a bit of Masters of the Universe about it. This guy's got a Skeletor nose, and it
got
makes...
Masters of the Universe, Army of Darkness. You got the lot.
Oh, I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. The cat people are a bit weird, but that's...
Throw some speed paint and contrast on them, and they'd look really good really quickly as well.
That's it. And there's not a bad sculpt in here, which is remarkable. I tend to find that on the, like, you've got like the S tier patrons, right? Then you've got the next tier, you've got the A tier. And with the A tier, there's normally a set of positionals that you're kind of like, not the best, but I can replace them. So actually, Torchlight's a really good example of that. The Khorne team, I love the Khorne team, but definitely replace the Khorne Gores. The Agni Amazon team's wicked, but the throwers aren't brilliant. Actually, this team here, it's all great. Unless you don't like weird cat-faced people. But, I mean, you got dog-faced people too, to be the blitzers. So, yeah, this is brilliant. I backed this immediately, Ben. I thought this is a great shout. So this
is cheap as well. Yeah.
Realm of Paths. Let's have a look at their work. Let's have a look at their library to see if we've missed some other stuff. Because that... okay. Got a decent star player There's a Forest Elf team. Might have to do some shopping. Oh, I remember seeing some of these. The orcs. Ooh, they've got demons. Chaos demons. This is cool. All right, that's just a weird mixture of models. And a heck of a Forest Elves Part 1, Forest Elves Part 2. I'm going to look at the Forest Elf team now just to see, because elves are tricky.
Interesting take, actually.
They look...
very muscly for elves.
Trips, you watched a bit of Deep Space Nine, right?
quite the whole thing.
Okay. You know the Dominion Mouthman, like the Dominion puppet guy, Jin, something.
Yeah.
I got the vibe of him from these.
Yes.
And that's pretty cool. I don't know, I like this. This is pretty cool. But this is cool. This is good to see. So definitely worth checking that out. Ben hates Star Trek, so haven't included him in that. So
I think it's the worst thing ever. Yeah.
Realm of Past. That's a really good one. That is
shows.
a white screen that I failed with. Right, we've got a Kickstarter to look at here. This is the Bloody Nightmares Kickstarter from Pedro Ramos and Hogs of War, which is a pretty cool combination. And they've got together to make an old school vampire team. So they've smashed their goal. We got $5,000 against a goal of $4,000. Okay, so maybe not smashed. There's 8 days to go. So this will be wrapping up on Friday, the 14th of April. So plenty of time for you to listen and go and check it out. And this is a green stuff, hand sculpted team of thralls and Strigoi vampires. So Strigoi vampires are the type of vampires that came out in Warhammer Fantasy Battle 6th edition, but they are basically half men, half bat werewolf dudes. Strigoi was very much a cool vampire bloodline, and they've dropped this team of kind of peasant thralls and full-on Strigoi vampires, which I don't know, it's pretty cool. I am dubious about backing a Kickstarter for any of the teams of Legend. We talked about this on a pod a few months ago, didn't we?
I see there's a risk there. I think most of the time, things can line up to kind of match. Like we saw that with
like Norse is a pretty good one.
Yeah, exactly. And Amazon.
You've got to back the full package though. Don't try and just sort of get 12 or 13 miniatures and get away with it. You're going to need a little bit of everything just in case there's that positional random change and you go, I need 4 of those and only 2 in the old base set.
This is what's kind of worrying about High Elves at the moment. I think someone was talking about High Elves team the other day, and it's kind of like, I think they'll do something completely different with High Elves. I think you'll end up with yes, right, I remember because I said it to wind Rick up a bit. Hi Rick, if you're listening. I was like, they'll definitely incorporate White Lions of Krace and have 2 strength 4 elves to White Lion blockers.
Probably will.
Yeah, which I would be all right with, because it would be...
I'd be definitely up for that.
Yeah, it would be okay. We've taken High Elves away from being like the other elf, just the tougher Elven Union, and made them a bit more noble and combatty. Like, that would be interesting, because Dark Elves have got 4 blitzers, and the Witch Elves, they're very combatty and screeny, actually. If you get a bit of High Elves with a bit of both, it could be really interesting. But we're talking about vampires here. So there is a £51 basic build, 6 vampires, 6 thralls, a couple of other dudes, a Nosferatu and a Snot mascot. Then you've got the £64 full team, which is 6 Strigois and 11 servants. I mean, even with a vampire team, you've got to... I mean, you need more than 6 thralls, because you're not always going to be taking 5 vampires to get a minimum team. So £64. The team is in resin. And I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. It's not one for me, I don't think.
Yeah, I think I've definitely gone off of the hand sculpted. I think we're very spoiled now with where digital sculpting is and with 3D printing.
It's gone up exponentially the last 18 months, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, if this was a bunch of STLs that came out, I don't know how high up on my list of to print it would be. Like, the sculpting is incredible compared to, it's incredible and miles away of what I would do. But this month, if this came out as STLs, it would be probably the 4th best team. Or the 4th most one that I was excited about.
Which is a great sentence to say.
Oh, I know. We're in the absolute golden era. But 100 people disagree. 68 people disagree. And that's a cool team. And you know what? I always think this about these Kickstarters. Definitely not for me. But I would be absolutely over the moon if I sat down at a tournament or a league night and someone was running this team. It's a really nice team, and that's kind of my gauge at the moment. Is like Trip said, I've got many teams. Excuse me. Whew. Nearly died then.
That's aggressive. You okay?
But if I sat down to play against this team, I'd be like, nice, that is a cool
This is
team.
rad.
I'm going to enjoy this. Very much like the Bretonian team from FNAF. Like, I'll never run it. Still available to you if you want it to add it to your 6th team to paint this month, Ben. But if I sat down to play against it, I'd be like, that is really cool. And I think that's something that is probably the most exciting thing about Blood Bowl right now. It does. I know I tend to always bring up Magic the Gathering, but you sit down to play a game of Magic the Gathering or something against someone who's come up with a clever deck build, and it's a really fun experience. Because you're like, oh, I see what you're doing. That's really cool. Like, nice take, nice twist. And I get that when you play a tournament, when you play a league, like you sit down and you see what somebody else's take on a team is. Like, oh, cool, you've gone with Chaos Halflings from Pongo, that's wicked. Or, oh, sweet, Torchlight Khorne, like, this is really cool. Like, and that variety, I think, is just so massive. And even if you're just going with the Games Workshop team, like, you do something cool with the basing, or you do like a bold color scheme or something, it's just like, what's your spin on this? And it makes it really exciting. But I think we're absolutely spoiled.
Yeah, that's right. It's the best thing about tabletop gaming is every single one you play against is going to be different. Every single team, even if it's painted differently, it's going to be different.
I played against a couple of green and yellow Skaven teams while I was in Nottingham, and I was like, yay!
Maybe not all different.
I was like, yeah, well, mine's green and yellow, but looks brown, so I win. Okay, I think that's all of the news bits that we've got. So it's going to be time for tournaments in a second. But just a massive thank you to everyone out there who supports us by coming to our tournaments or watching our videos or liking, subscribing, sharing. And a massive thank you to a load of our great Patreons. We had a bunch of new people join this month. Cattle Bruiser, Matt Kerr, Luke Tognolini, Lexi Mensa, Andrew Irvine, Ben Hayward, Sono Mirko, Bucklink, Hugh, John Scott, Adam D'Alessandro, Kieran White, Charles, Pickled Blowfish, Dallas Segurda, Kane Tucker, William Stilwell, Stuart, Erica R, Guy Pascoe, Sir Merrick, and Amanda Shepherd. Welcome to the party. Thank you very much for your support. Now, one thing that is very cool that I'm really, really, really excited about is that we've got Games Against the Patreons lined up for the end of the month to film some of the new Dungeon Bowl Championship. So I put a post out for the patrons a couple of weeks ago saying, hey, I've booked out Entoyment for the whole weekend. Like, they did the D&D room. Anybody up to come and film some Dungeon Bowl games? And just working through organising it all at the moment. Now, loads of people volunteered, which was amazing, which means that if I've kind of done first come, first serve based on availability. Obviously, I built a little spreadsheet. So if I haven't got in contact with you, it's just someone else got there first at that particular slot. But I intend to do this like regularly because I think it's just a really cool way to get involved. So I was like, right, well, I'll put it out to the Patrons, and then if I don't get enough people free to play or whatever, I'll put it out on the channel. And I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant! Like 30 people. I was like, this is so cool. So I think that's a really cool thing. So if you want to be on the channel playing games with us, then being on our Patreon is probably a really good step. And I'm super excited about that. Like, I get to play Dungeon Bowl, we get to hang out with Patrons. I'm just absolutely buzzing for that. But talking to tournaments and things, Dorset Dungeon Bowl is coming up. Technically, we're not sold out. There's like 3 tickets left, but we'd kind of hit capacity. So I'm probably going to have to take those tickets down. Carl messaged me this morning. He was like, hey, Ben, how many you got for your event in Dorset on May? And like, how many tables you going to need? I was like, well, we've got 47 people signed up, Carl. I'm going to need a TO table. We're going to need a streaming table. And we're going to need kind of like a feature match table. So we're going to need like, I don't know, like 20 tables. He was like, oh, it's going to be busy. I was like, okay, Carl, I'll stop selling tickets now. But
oh, bless him.
I haven't. So if you're listening, there's 3 tickets left. Go before I have to pull them. But Dungeon Bowl.
Are you playing on the floor or in the car park? But we'll try.
There are literally tables in the car park, and they still have a QR code on them. So.
They do. I've had a couple of people message me this week being like, hey, what's the parking like at Entoyment? I'm like, it is free, and it is at worst a 20-meter walk from the car. in a straight line. Like, not like, oh, there's parking around the corner and up the road. None of that nonsense. It is literally you park within like line of sight to the store.
Yeah. Anyone who gets lost in the car park deserves to roll ones all day.
Yeah, it's not quite as complicated as a dungeon. So that's coming up in May. We start filming the Dungeon Bowl Championship at the end of this month. Then we've got May. We've got the actual Dorset Dungeon Bowl, which we're intending to stream on the day. I think we've got a good couple of months. And then I think in June, we're getting together and having a filming day and a lunch. Filming day and pub lunch.
Yep.
Which would be cool. I don't know what we're going to do.
We'll work it out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
it was more just excited just to get together and have some steaks and a chat again.
Yeah.
I mean, worst case scenario, we just do a live Blood Bowl breakfast or something
Oh, that would be good. That would be good.
from Entoyment. I do like a live
It's
stream of a
breakfast.
game or something.
Yeah.
Is there breakfast?
They do breakfast.
They do breakfast. This is my favorite thing about Entoyment is the little QR codes on the tables, because you just scan them and then Carl brings you tea. It's just the best. I need that for my room. I suggested it to Tiff and I just got the look.
Have you asked Carl yet?
Yeah. Carl, it's a bit of a drive, but
I did place my order 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I love that.
Check and collect in a whole new way.
Yeah.
If you are in the market for Blood Bowl tournaments, then please head on over to the Bonehead Podcast and click on the button that says tournaments. And in the button that says tournaments, there'll be some tournaments for you to tournament at. There's a list of Bonehead events. There's a share the word where you can share a tournament if you're going to a tournament or running a tournament. And if you'd like to hear me say tournaments some more, buckle up. So click find a tournament and it will take you to a whole bunch of tournaments that you guys have shared with us. So there's some coming up. We're in March. No, we're in April. Jeez. It's Christmas soon, guys. That one's already happened. We've got Noodle Bowl coming up on the 15th in Wiltshire. Oh, that's exciting. Thrud rule set. So like a warm-up for Thrud. That's exciting. Oh, Glowworm's running it. That's very cool. You got Bruce Bowl on the 22nd of April. You've got Dominion Bowl in Scotland on the 22nd of April. April Fool's Bowl on the 23rd of April. Oh, they've got Fumble Secret Team. That is cool. In Doncaster. Ben, how far is Doncaster? Trips, you're well travelled. A long way?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is it?
Somewhere in the northern realms, I think.
North of the M4?
Yeah. 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 2 stops away on a drive.
Oh, well, that's we've got the Spike Egg Cup in Hampshire in Aldershot on the 29th of April. I will be filming with the Patreons. Dorset Dungeon Bowl 2, definitely recommend that. Gonna have 50 Dungeon Bowl players playing some stuff. I'm super excited about that. And then there's bits in Oxford in May, so that's UK. There's some great stuff going on in Europe as well. There is a Punching Pumpkins tournament coming up in South Holland in the Netherlands. We've got Heart Bowl in Quebec, a 2-day charity Blood Bowl event. There's the Cabbage Cup in Ohio on the 22nd of April. There's the Forest City Cup in Ontario, Canada. Oh man, there's so much. Australia going to town. Trips reminded me that I needed to set the things just to make sure that no one goes and writes a load of rude words. I have a little tick box on the submission thing before it goes to the site because, well, mostly because of Milton's whole, Miltoning. So I've got that button. I forgot to tick it last time, and Trips was like, make sure you check. And then I did, and there's like a ton for Australia, which is so cool. In fact, we've got one special one to call out in a second. But you got Ozbowl State Championship, 2 days in Queensland coming up in 2 weeks. You got Blood Bowl 7's charity tournament on the 7th of May as well. Now that is an interesting one. So George Christodoulou, friend of the show and Sevens extraordinaire, sent me an email and was like, dude, can you please call this one out? So there is a Blood Bowl 7's charity tournament happening in Australia, and they've gone to town. It's for a guy. And tell you what, have they put the background here? They haven't put the background here. Well, they had my interest when it was a Sevens tournament because it's a Sevens tournament. And let me see if I can grab the wordage that George sent me because I think it's worth sharing up. Come on, George Christodoulou. Hey, Ben, hope you're well. Got a favour to ask if I may. A fellow Blood Bowl coach, Lee, is organising his first tournament in Brisbane, Queensland to raise money for cancer research and care. Lee has been challenged with renal cancer since 2015, and besides trying to raise dollars, he's trying to keep his mental state positive with Blood Bowl, which is an interesting choice, but I approve massively. I only recently met Lee, and his story personally resonated with me, so I've been trying to assist him in any way I can. I made him a bunch of sevens pitches and helped with his rule set. Other Oz coaches and game stores have also assisted with Blood Bowl stuff for prizes and raffle. All I ask is if you could please do a shout out on an upcoming episode. That would be super appreciated. Lee tells me he's a fan of the show and watches regularly to keep himself positively distracted. Below are the links, which I've already put into the show notes. And FYI, the event banner was designed by his daughter. That's awesome. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, really like that. Thanks in advance. By the way, hope to meet up in person at Alicante. Dude, there was at least one beer on me in Alicante.
That's incredible. What a great cause.
Yeah.
And yeah, really big kudos to them.
I really like seeing stuff like that. It sucks that it happens, but it's something that's really special about this community.
It's great that this can help.
Yeah. And it's always nice to hear that Blood Bowl helps with people's, just well-being. Because the game can punish you, but actually, it's awesome. It's awesome, right? And I believe that concludes the news. Anything we've missed, guys?
God, I'd be impressed.
It's been 45 minutes.
I think we've convinced everyone to buy 3 new teams, go to 4 tournaments.
Oh, 3? That would should have done a better job. Oh, actually, I do have something else to bring up. Did you see on the Games Workshop Warhammer community thing for the Warhammer Fest stuff coming up?
The Warhammer Fest or the Blood Bowl thing?
Wow, Warhammer Fest. Oh yeah, and the Blood Bowl.
Okay.
Jeez. Oh, so much going on. It's so good. So Warhammer Fest is coming up. I think that is right. That is the 28th, 29th, and 30th of April.
Yeah, last few days, yeah.
Now, I'm going to be filming Dungeon Bowl with people on those days. I am so excited because if there is Blood Bowl news, I get to drag whichever Patreon is playing Blood Bowl and Dungeon Bowl with me at that point, and we can do a little video together, which I think would be really cool. But I don't know. I mean, bets. Are we going to see Blood Bowl news at Warhammer Fest?
Maybe a little bit, but it's definitely going to be the 40k show. So it's, I don't know. It might, but it might get drowned out in the rest. But I do hope we do.
There's going to be plenty of 40k drowning everything out for the next few weeks.
I think that's fair enough. But yeah, Ben, good shout. In July, I want to say around the 21st, there is 3 Blood Bowl events happening at Warhammer World. Friday is 7s, 4 rounds, same rule set we played the other week. Saturday, 3 rounds of 11s, 1150 match play rules, which was really interesting because I looked at the rule set and I was like, where are the skills? I don't understand the skills. And then I remembered that it's actually just in the match play rulebook, which I actually really like now. I'm really on board with that format. I think I don't know. I've been looking at the World Cup builds and I'm like, I just want to use drawl and dribble. Why can I not use drawl and dribble? Amazon's with drawl and dribble is absolutely my match play tournament list pick at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that's juicy. And then the Sunday is 3 games of Dungeon Bowl at Warhammer.
It's so
World.
good. I'm so excited. I think we've confirmed going.
Oh, I've booked us tickets for all 3 days.
There you go. Yeah, I need to sort out accommodation and then so I'll definitely be there all 3. I think you're going to try and make all 3.
Yes, I'm going to try.
And be great. Be absolutely great.
Trips.
It's good because we can actually stay in the evenings because the Warhammer evenings are awesome. So
yes, Trips is, I believe, in Devon.
Trips has made the stupid mistake of booking a holiday for that weekend with the family. Really don't think I can get out of that. Just popping away for 3 days.
Yeah, I've got this feeling. I've just got this feeling that's the timeline that we'll be moving house. I just have this. It's just something I've got
You,
two.
you can't move on a Saturday or Sunday really, because the legal stuff was Monday to Friday. So
Well, yeah,
True.
but
Yeah, they won't be around.
But if we move on like Thursday or Friday, I can't be like, hey, enjoy the very much unfinished house. I'll see you. I'm going to go stay in a hotel.
A few boxes for you to unpack.
If you could get it all sorted for when
can,
I'm
but
back,
you're
and
not
don't
direct
forget the
and use
QR
your
code,
Yeah.
that would be.
Carl's in one of them. He'll help you with the boxes. Yeah.
There's also the Andy Davo Invitational, which is a Blood Bowl World Cup warm-up happening in July. I've booked up for that as well. I can't remember what it is. So
Busy.
yeah, should be. I don't know. It's going to be a good year. I promised you guys. Maybe promised that this year would be a good year of playing Blood Bowl and enjoying Blood Bowl. And I think we're off to a
Ben
good
was
start.
nearly booked into a tournament for next year already.
Yeah, which I need to cancel. I saw Water Bowl tickets go live, and I was like, I'm going to do Water Bowl. I'm going to do Water Bowl. And you have to get fast in for that because it goes quick.
Yes.
And it's an excuse to get Element Games because I really want to go. And I'm just like, okay, got them. And then I told the others, just be like, yeah, just snag some Water Bowl tickets. They're just like, oh, cool, when is it?
Beachhead weekend.
Beachhead weekend. Yeah, I'm probably going to go to Beachhead. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I might be doing that one. So, yeah. Maybe next time we'll ask Pete to move Beachhead.
Move it a week or
Accommodate me, please.
Fair enough. Anyway, tons going on and time for a little chat about hobby. Okay, so hobby-wise, I've been printing lots of teams. I've been painting some of them just because they're so cool. But I feel like we talked a lot about that already. So hobby, bits and bobs, guys. Actually, you know what? Trips, take it away.
So I have been doing some printing. I am printing frames galore and legs
Spaceship?
and tiles.
I printed a head gasket.
Printing a gaming table, a self-assemble one that I got through a Kickstarter, and it is really well designed. It's going together well. It's taking a fair bit of filament, and the printer has been running hot for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, I am a couple of edges away from a six tile by six tile by 3 tile table.
Have you considered getting a second printer? Have you considered printing a second printer?
Oh, they're quite a good heater, I found.
Well, summer is here now, so I nearly had to open the window in the studio for the first time in like 6 months. But no, trips. You played a game at Entoyment.
So I actually played a game in Entoyment. So I played against John or Leoric's
Necromantic.
Necromantic, yes. It was last night, so it was a cracking game, a really good game of defensive Blood Bowl. I went in with I think about 265 of inducements with my rather badly beaten up high elf team. So after a little bit of a conversation in our group in the afternoon, we decided to go for the manic but fun way. So the wizard was taken and Acorn was taken.
Yes.
Acorn didn't have the best of the games, mainly because he decided to spend most of it sitting in the knocked out box.
He is very little.
He is very little. He did get away with getting knocked over once, but then did not survive too much longer after that. So first half, I kicked off. The werewolves chased down, and the wizard actually, for the first time in a long time that I've had Fireball, the wizard knocked down all five players it was targeted. 2 of them left the pitch. 1 of them was the ball carrier. The ball bobbled right over to on the sideline, and we played how many tackle zones can you put on the ball for an entire game. So the first half was a really tight defensive game, 0-0 at half time. Second half didn't start too well because I had a catcher sent off. as part of the kickoff, which is not a great way to start.
A vicious ref or something.
Vicious ref, yeah. And it's like, and you can only, if you roll a 1, it's like, oh God.
That is
going to be rolling a 1.
Brutal. I saw this happen at Sand Bowl, the table next to me. They got Morg sent off at the literally the opening kickoff of the game. Morg got sent off. I was just like, that is horrific. I mean, when it comes to high ups, though, having a catcher sent off, that is also horrific.
Yeah, and it was one of my skilled up catchers as well, so that was a bit annoying. But I got the ball. Did the sort of go left and then go right, trying to use the speed of the high elves to get away from the not too fast zombies. And then the year of 2023 rolling returned.
No.
So I dodged my thrower away, who's got dodge, and he didn't even need dodge to do it. And he's like, I just need a quick 3-space pass, and then my catcher can hoon off down the sideline. 1. Pass reroll. 1. So he managed to throw the ball backwards, which was a bit annoying. And of course, the werewolf steamed in to get it, and half my team was completely out of position. To be fair, a catcher went above and beyond and blitzed the werewolf to knock the ball out 1 square from the end zone. And then the ball scattered beautifully off the end zone, throw in, put it right up the sideline, again next to my thrower, and I was like, he's got a chance to redeem himself. So I had the stretch play set up where he would have needed a 2+ pass because he's got accurate. All he needed to do was dodge away from the flesh golem. Of course, he went 1, reroll dodge, 1. And I was like, I just can't.
Trips.
I think I rolled 4 or 5 1 reroll 1s in the game. So they sort of stopped every bit of good fun. And
there's nothing you can do about that, really, is there?
Nothing I could do about that. And I was down. I think it was down about 3 or 4 players at that point. And yeah, John suitably picked up the ball, swarmed around it, and crashed in. And I even had a chance to a 2-10 touchdown right at the end. But of course, Akon, who by then had decided to actually come back, decided to fail the foul appearance on the blitz, losing me my blitz, failed the loner reroll, and then what a surprise, my catcher couldn't pick up the ball on a 2. So the game ended in pretty traditional roller 1 style. So
that is so brutal. Now, Trips, you are still sitting at 18 completions, though.
I did, even though the thrower had an appalling game at the crucial things, he did manage to get a lucky turn 8 SPP throw in the first half, and he got 1 in the second half just because if he didn't, I would have fired him on the spot by then.
I am going to struggle to catch you. With that's 5. I'm 5 completions behind you now.
I was going to say, sorry, did you say your thrower fumbled a ball? Because hasn't got a safe pass?
It wasn't a fumble though, was it? If it was
wildly inaccurate.
It was the wildly inaccurate.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So you like the only thing he can do wrong is roll a 1 here. Oh, that's what he's going to do. And it was the traditional one where not only do you drop the ball, but it goes backwards into like the worst possible position. That's really not good.
Wildly inaccurate. Not my favourite rule.
Awful. Yeah.
No.
I've got my game against Drew tomorrow night, which is going to be tough. So he's got Norse, which is kind of my kryptonite team. He's got a Mighty Blow Yeti, a Block Ulf, a Blodge Valkyrie, a Block Valkyrie, and a Tackle Norseman. And I think he's going to get nearly 300k inducements. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't probably go Griff or something.
I was going to say you get a lot of choice with OWA inducements.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. I've got a root canal first thing tomorrow morning, so I imagine I'm going to feel quite rubbish. So I'm not feeling the massive positivity for that match, but points wise, I'm perfectly safe now. And this is the last round. It's the last game.
Yeah, this is the last game. So there's going to be a playoff between the 2 leagues' top 4, and then a losers playoff for those of us who've not quite made the top 4 of their league.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. I've not played any Blood Bowl, I think, for the last couple of weeks. I've been busy, which is fine. I feel really bad because I may have forgotten a game with somebody because you know what the world is like. I mean, we went to Nottingham, played a lot of Blood Bowl there. That was reasonable. Yeah, how about you, BT? Any games?
Yeah, I had a league game the other week against Simon and his Norse. He fought against my battered Chaos Dwarf team.
Poor
it was a matchup
Dwarves.
the matchup I didn't want to see at that point. It was against Simon because I was a Mino down, 2 dwarves down, so it's just basically a bull centaur and 4 dwarves and a whole bunch of journey hobgoblins against the skilled up Norse team, and it was pretty brutal.
Whoa,
I took 2 kegs.
3 journey hobgoblins.
Yeah, I took 2 kegs, which were incredibly helpful because those hobgoblins got knocked out left, right, and center, which I was expecting to happen. But it wasn't quite enough. It ended up being a 2-0 loss, I think.
You did lose.
Yeah, which was...
That's your first loss, isn't it?
It was my first loss of the league, yeah. I drew the week before. But it was a very big game because the playoffs are really tight in this league. It's between a good amount of people here. Yeah, so there's one more game for most of us. I think Jack has solidified his place with his games.
Oh, I don't know. It's 6 game max, isn't it? So
6 games, yeah.
You, Simon, and Byron and Ian are all 1 game left. Jack's at 12 points. Simon's at 11, and you and Byron are at 10. So I assume it's...
And Greenskin Phil's got 2 games he can sneak in.
Yeah, exactly.
3 points for a win, isn't it? So
James could get...
James could. And to be fair, so could Saxby.
Yeah.
His catchers have got ridiculously skilled up.
Yeah, so my last game is going to be pretty crucial. There's a few teams I haven't... I've played against pretty much all Bash, so I'm expecting something that's quite crunchy for the last game. I'm imagining it might be against some elves or something, because I haven't played any of them yet.
You are a Chaos Dwarf Mystics game, but your Blodge Bull Centaur is all right. Your Jugs Minotaur is all right. And you got a Mighty Blow dude and a Guard dude and a Frenzy Hobgoblin, which is pretty great. Yeah. Well, when you've got that Guard piece, that's a cheeky 4-die block there.
Yeah, he was good as well because the Norse were really scared of him, actually. Because he was always there being just like, they weren't going to the sideline because I saw all the Frenzy Hobgoblin. He's doing work by existing.
And a Kick Boy as well. That's brilliant.
Yeah, Kick Guy has been great. But that Bull Centaur is just obscene.
Are you going to buy your next Bull Centaur now?
I don't have enough. I was 5k short.
Oh, they're 130, aren't they?
Yeah. I saw the winnings come in. I was just like, oh, that's really sad.
Not quite enough. Man, that's cool.
Hopefully, it should mean if I do get in the playoffs, I'll have 2 Bull Centaurs for the playoff games, which is good. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
You might still be getting inducements as well because the rest of the teams in the playoffs are
chunky boys.
Ooh. Yeah, I've actually got a pretty small team.
You're at 1,200 with a Hobgoblin now, Ben.
So,
yeah. I tell you what, I'm enjoying the divisions at Tournament, but there's nothing better than seeing a big old list of 23 teams in a single group. It's very cool.
It's good fun.
Yeah, I do like that. I'm very much looking forward to Wobble hitting up. Sadly, at the moment, Tuesdays just seem to be like really big meeting days. So yesterday, I was supposed to go to the pub with Ian, Craig, and Lewis, and I was still in meetings at like 6 o'clock. I was like, This is a busy day. Just stop. And Ian was like, why didn't you come to club anymore? And I was like, because work. It just hates Tuesdays.
It's taken over your life. All you need to do is, it's a real shame about, the constant electrical storms that keep hitting Hive area, which means power gets cut off at like 5:30 every day.
Wi-Fi is quite bad in the in the New Forest anyway. But I'm looking forward to getting back to Wobble. I'll definitely hit it up in the next league with Amazons.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
With Ugly Amazons, because I really want to get more games in with them. I feel like we need a bit of a Blood Bowl 3 check-in. I haven't played anything on BB3 for the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's fine at the moment. I know they reset the ladder, which is fine because the ladder doesn't really exist at the moment anyway. But
they forgot to tell everyone they were doing it before they did it, which was slightly annoying.
Yes, and that's kind of, I want to say, put me off playing too much at the moment. It's just warm-ups, really, isn't it? It's the preseason. I mean, if you're an NFL fan, you'll know the preseason doesn't massively mean anything, and that is they've nailed that. Let me tell you, if they've done anything right, they have exactly got the preseason right, in that it means very little to anybody. So that's all right. But when does season 1 start, Trips?
Oh, this is the disappointing bit because we've all had May in our heads, and I was like, yeah, let's go and check the date, and it's the 25th of May, so it is still 7 weeks away.
Okay, that's fine. That means we've got the run up to Dorset Dungeon Bowl, then it's season 1 of Blood Bowl 3. So actually, timing wise, that's fine. We can work with that. I think we just need to try and we can work with that. I'm excited for real Blood Bowl to start when it comes to the seasons. And have they announced what the team is going to be for season 1?
No, they've announced nothing more for season 1. They've still got a lot of things that are in need to be released before then.
They had a lot of data mine teams, didn't they? I think I saw some people saying lizards are expected.
I've heard lizards as well.
Yeah.
It might mean
I think
nothing,
they're like the most complete ones out of the lot, or something like that. Yeah.
I don't want lizards to drop, but because come on, leave the Skaven alone. But no, I think that will be really good fun. We'll kind of commit to a bit more Blood Bowl 3 interaction when it starts up and running properly. I know that's kind of what we're looking forward to doing now, but it's just not ready. So it's kind of like, just play with it. But I think actually coming through to May, Blood Bowl 3 will be good. We can do some stuff and actually play some more Blood Bowl, which would be even better because more Blood Bowl is more better, right? So even on Blood Bowl 3, Trips, have you played it recently though?
I played the last game about 10 days ago, so it's much more stable now. It's not crashing nearly as much. There is still the odd crash. Most of the rules interactions are working, and it's not doing silly things. So it's much smoother and much stabler than it was. And you can see where you are in the Bonehead ladder. You can see with your team.
That's exciting.
You get told where you are, which is quite nice.
It's a hilarious difference that makes.
But what's started to happen is you can see that some people are replaying it for a good amount of time. There are some big stonking TV teams in there that you can run into. So I think they fixed the match playing as well, the matchup as well, because I think there was a chance you could literally run a new team into like a 1700, 1800 TV team, which that's not fun.
Oh, how to turn people off playing any game is what it. When Magic Arena went live, their matchup system was trash. So you would just start and you would be paired against anybody. So if you go and play standard with your new deck of cards you've just started with, you would just get absolutely ruffle stomped by someone who'd been just grinding, and that's not fun. That happened when Blood Bowl 3 went live anyway, didn't it? Because it was like, oh cool, I've got 1800 TV dwarf team. I do not understand. And then there's all the comments about like, oh, they are conceded, and they were like, you conceded, you're a trash human being. And the human being was like, no, the person with an 1800 TV dwarf team is the trash human being.
I don't know if there's any kind of like ELO system or anything like that either, with like sort of, I haven't seen. I'd be interesting to know if that's a case where you have sort of just normal experience, or even like experienced coaches with new teams can match against experienced coaches. I don't know if that's a thing.
I think I'd be fine with TV matching.
Yeah.
That's enough for me, I think. It does mean that you'll probably get ruffle stomped against an experienced coach with a new team, which is not ideal. But again, I think that's kind of hard to manage. An ELO system would be really good for it, I think, although you have to balance TV and skill level, which would be...
You might never get a game.
Yeah, well, there's times on Blood Bowl 2 where that was kind of the case, or on Fumble, where you're like, I'd like to play a game with this team. No one's available because they're all playing 2100 Chaos, and you're just there with your 985 Snotling team being like, I'd like a fun little game, please. Denied.
Yeah.
Denied. All right, boys. Anything else in the hobby sphere or things we want to talk about? Because I mean, we did agree this would be a bit of a chatty episode. Do we want to touch on 40k here, Ben? Because you are very excited by it.
I mean, we could. I won't take too much time because it's boring as hell. But yeah, no, it's had me really excited. It's genuinely had me really excited. I mean, I play 40k quite a lot. At the moment, I'm playing quite a lot because I'm doing like Crusade with friends, and it's been really good for hobby as well. Like, I painted a whole bunch, and yeah, honestly, the 10th edition things, it's really positive changes. And I don't know if it's because I'm maybe less perpetually online like I was in like 9th edition. So I don't see all like the crying, which is, always there. But
it's actually a part of the hobby.
Yeah. But no, I want to say when stuff is good, and I think a lot of these changes are really good and they have me really excited. There are some things which I'd like to see more from 40k, which it's not doing, namely alternate activation. And anyone who plays 40k with me will know that's a thing.
Yeah, I
really dislike about it.
I don't think that's their style. I don't think that's the Warhammer style.
It infuriates me. It's like such like a modern change that every other game does, and they just seem reluctant to admit that it's right. But they'll put soft half measures in every game.
Is Kill Team alt? Trick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fully alt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so it's Warcry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Warcry is.
It makes such a difference because otherwise, I've seen people playing 40k, and you can see them just like, I'm waiting until you tell me to roll a bucket of dice.
Yeah. And it's just like, no, but we've got reactive stratagems now where you can play like one thing on your opponent's turn. But it's basically alternate activation. I'm just like, nah. So I actually play a custom rule set, which I still need to release, but I'm not going to do that now because it's a new edition. But which modifies it, and it's way more fun. But yeah, no, these changes I really like. I think everything's way more streamlined. They're releasing all the army books on day one. It's an index, which is fantastic. I always said it's the best thing about 8th edition. Yeah, no, some really genuinely positive design moves here, which gives me a lot of hope for Games Workshop actually. And I wish I bought shares.
I am seeing a lot of really good stuff out of Games Workshop at the moment. I mean, obviously rose-tinted spectacles, and we could do with some more releases for Blood Bowl, but actually everything they've done has been really good, and especially this 40k thing has impressed me because they do seem to have listened and seen what's going on, and they genuinely seem to be working towards making a lot of it a lot better.
I just hope they stick with it because they did this last time. Where they said it was all good. And 8th edition was like, oh, awesome, really cool changes, new, everything's easy, only like one book. And then it will just, spiral out of control again. So I just hope they stick to it and remember that this is what people like. Because, and going back to keywords is a good thing. Like, no longer pages of text to explain what things do. Works in Blood Bowl. Everyone knows what block does. So you don't need to write it out every single time on every single player. So yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. This is oddly tempting, which is really exciting actually. I would love to play 40k with you, Ben.
It's more I would love for you to play 40k as well, because I think it's actually a really fun system. But yeah.
I'm intrigued. I am very intrigued. And, Entoyment, I feel like, would be a really good hub. Lots of games, lots of good gear. It's just interesting. It's just interesting. I am on the fence, but I am closer to the fence than I think I've been in a long time. I mean,
I'll let you know how this edition is, because it might be hot trash, and I'll spare you. But
my last game of 40k was 8th edition when the starter box came out, and I really enjoyed it. And then it got really bad really quickly, and we got to kind of see the misery unfolding at the various beachhead tournaments that we've been to, and it's just like, oh, that looks terrible. But the way they're planning it out now actually looks really quite good. The only thing I am very, very dubious about is the change of leadership to be a target number instead of an underneath number, only because when someone like Trips rolls a load of ones, you could be like, "Oh, mate, save them for your leadership rolls." Now there's nothing you can do with wands, which makes me very sad.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah.
That might be more don't roll ones.
just
pretty much every
just
game you
remove
roll
them from the
one.
dice.
Yeah, you roll ones consistently, it ain't gonna go well.
Games companies, they tend to have like two systems, and each system tend to leapfrog each other with design copying. So Battlefront did this. They've been doing Flames of War. Then they released Team Yankee, which was a better game, and then they took their stuff from Team Yankee into the next version of Flames of War, and they kind of cycle them. So I'm interested to see if, because there's some of this that's similar to Age of Sigmar, but some of the stuff that put me off Age of Sigmar is the same stuff that put me off 40k. It's just 40k was just way more violent about it, whereas Age of Sigmar, I think, is not quite as bad. So I mean, when did they drop the last version of Age of Sigmar? Last year? Year before?
No, it's 2 years ago, I think.
Okay, so actually we could be seeing some of the stuff that they might take forward into Age of Sigmar as well.
Yeah, possibly. I think Age of Sigmar needs a lot of work, in my opinion.
Yes, it does.
I think it's not a great game. Just in terms of a game that it's fun to play, in my opinion, just it's not there. And so much stuff missing.
That is how you would have described 40k. However, this new rule set, it looks pretty fun.
Does look pretty good.
I'm intrigued. I'm actually intrigued, and I genuinely just feel utterly blessed with Blood Bowl. Like, the worst thing that's going on in Blood Bowl is bombers, right? And it's really easy to just be like, we're banning bombers in our league, we're banning bombers in this tournament, and then kind of everything's fine. And then it's kind of like, oh, Hackflem's a bit OP, but he's really not. So it's kind of like, that's the worst thing we've got going on in Blood Bowl, and that is just awesome. Okay. Well, we win, but 40k looking cool. I do have a knight to build. It'll be interesting to see because they've got the new. Anyway, we'll save that for the 40k podcast. Onwards to leagues. Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a round table discussion here, and kind of what we said at the beginning of the video. We've had a good year and a half of playing Tabletop Blood Bowl 2020 now. Well, let's say we've had a good year and also half of a medium half a year. So, of actually getting Blood Bowl 2020 to the table. And one of the biggest changes, and I think, all things considered, my favourite change from old edition Blood Bowl to the new edition Blood Bowl is the league system and the skilling up system of your dudes, the SPP system. I really like the way money is built up now, but
and
that just works much better. Like, good job. That's just a tweak. It's actually very similar to the way we used to do it in Wobble 3, because the original system was like, oh, have a good game, roll a dice, move that many squares. Nah, that's not for me. That was how the old money system worked. The new one, actually, is you both roll a dice and take the average, and it's all fine. And you know what? That works brilliantly. So good job there. But the SPP system was a massive change, where it went from roll 2d6 and get some stuff to actually you have a bunch of choices now. And with all of the games, we've all played 3, maybe 4 seasons of a team on the tabletop. We've all played at least 1 or 2 seasons on Fumble as well, and we've played a lot of Blood Bowl 3 individual games, just kind of trying to get the system to work and gaining some SPP. So it kind of felt like a good opportunity to check in with how well the SPP system works in 2020 and what we've learned from it. So I think the best place to start is opinions about the system itself and whether it's landed in a way that you expected it to. So Trips, as we moved into this edition, we went away from the old, Richard Saxby's rolled 2d6, he's rolled 2 6s again and got a strength up, to actually, Rich, you got to play a game and roll 6s in the game to get the SPP. I mean, what are your thoughts on the transition of the old system to the new system?
So I think in terms of the transition, I think that's probably the biggest difference, is that no longer at the end of the game can you randomly get something that nobody else can get for a number of games. So it's really stopped it stopped you getting superstar players without them really earning the superstar status. If you want someone to have all the skills and a stat up, you are going to have to try and keep them alive for a lot of games and stack SPP on them. You're not going to just be able to go, oh, I have a strength 5 player because I rolled the right dice at the end of the game 1.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, if you guys remember, we played a Fumble Secret League, I think, during the apocalypse, and Ian Warhammer rolled just like first level up on a dwarf runner or something, was a strength up, and it was just egregious from that point onwards. And I remember, because we were playing those rules because Fumble was available, but Blood Bowl 2020 rule set had come out, and I remember thinking, I am so glad this has gone now. I mean, what are your thoughts, BT?
So was that on a Sea Dwarves?
Yeah, it was the Sea Dwarves, where you already had 2 strength 4 guys, and it was like, oh, now you've got another strength 4 guy, just because, like, literally just because. I don't know. I'm a big fan of risk versus reward, and that was just all reward.
No, yeah, I hugely prefer it. I hugely prefer it. It's so less swingy. It makes everything feel like earned, I think, and like there is a real like gamble to saving up those skills because they could just die and lose all. And it's really, even then it's not guaranteed, but then you have choice, so you don't lose everything. I like the fact if you don't get what you want, you can just be like, oh, I'll just take the double skill then.
Or a normal skill. They actually FAQ'd it, which is brilliant. Now, the reason I kind of thrown it to you is I believe you did that on your last team, didn't you? Your Skaven team?
Oh, on Skaven, yeah. I went for a stat up on the gutter, and then I ended up just taking 2 heads because I didn't get it. Yeah, I remember that. I think it was a game where I think I got 5 touchdowns with him or something, and he just got like a million XP. And it was just like, okay, I don't know what to do with this. I'll just get a stat. I was hoping for strength. That would have been beautiful, wouldn't it? But yeah, and it was fine. It was, I loved it. I loved it. I really, I think this new skill system is great. And randoms, man. Randoms. Taking random skills for cheap. How good is that?
So in the background, I've got up tour play so that we can have a look at some of our league teams and stuff like that. And randoms is the best place to start here. So when it comes to getting your skill up, you pay not a lot for a random general. You pay a standard amount for a chosen general. You pay twice that for a chosen double. Or secondary skill, and then you pay even more than that for the chance at a sweet skill up, sweet stat up. So you kind of like, it's very expensive to risk the stat up, but it is a massive impact. So I think it's reasonable. I think it would be seen more with a bit of a price reduction, but I don't think it massively matters.
I think we'll see it online in BB3 because you can get through more games, so we'll see stat up players come back. But in tabletop, if you're playing 3 games a month, you're talking about 3 months of saving SPP, and as gamers, we're not known for our patience.
Well, that's you're bang on. And when I do the Dream Teams videos and sort of stuff like that, people are like, well, why don't you just wait and give block on him? And I'm like, because that's 4 months of your life. Like, if you've got an ogre on your nobility team, block is absolutely the right skill to give him. But I don't want to wait till October for that, when I could just give him guard now, or brawler now, or take a chance at a random now. It's just when it's just that balance. But Trips, your call out on Blood Bowl 3 is a very good one, and I'd like to circle back to Blood Bowl 3 at the end of this, because that's kind of like a hyperbolic time chamber version of Blood Bowl. Get your Dragon Ball Z reference in there. So randoms, Ben. Talk to me about random skills. How they work and why they're great.
3 SPP to have the most fun ever is just so good. I mean, when it works. But like, it's basically isn't half the cost of what you'd normally pay. So if it's your first primary skill, it's 3. If it's your first secondary, it's, what's that? 6. At 6 SPP, you get a random secondary, which is great. I mean, that's for some players, that is all you ever want to do. Like stunties, sometimes you just risk a random and get rid of them if it's not great. I mean, oh yeah, here we go. Small saw.
So this is a great shout. Ben's pointed out brilliantly, which is you can get a normal skill on a random, but one of the things I think is a great part of the system that may go unnoticed, because you think about like a proper player, and you think about if I want to take a double skill on them, I need the right double skill. If I want to go for a double agility random, a lot of it's going to be trash. When really I want dodge. Well, actually, if you've got goblins, and goblins are the most perfect example of this, random general skills are the best. On a lineman, a normal strength 3 lineman, random general skill for 3 SPP is the best thing you can do. Kick, and block, wrestle, sure hands, tackle, pro. That it's just amazing.
You will get shadowing.
Well, we did that on the channel with trumpets. My trumpets over there on my shelf. It was like, oh,
whenever you roll random general, know that you'll get shadowing, or expect that you'll get shadowing.
Yeah,
and
I
have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Because for every shadowing you get, you'll get kick. So,
or you could do what Small Saw Snapper did here, get wrestle and then frenzy, which is just amazing to have on a goblin. So, but so I know one of the kind of counter arguments to the skill change was, I don't get a randomly special guy with a skill, or I don't get like an Edge 4 goblin. Well, no, but actually you can choose to take that gamble to get some, and it doesn't need to be Edge 4 to be amazing. Actually, a wrestle goblin is so cool, and just taking those randoms on like your chaff lineman, it gives you stuff to do. And that, I think, is what's really good about it, is because if your MVP goes on a lineman, well, now you can just take a random general. I've done it. I've got sure hands and a kick on my random for my Skaven lineman. And when we went to Nottingham, it was a sevens tournament using the sevens rules. So it was all random skills, and some of it was good, some of it was bad. I had tackle and dauntless and don't remember the last skill. Maybe wrestle?
I will always feel sorry for my high elf opponent who got multiple block on their throw.
Yeah, but that means that they took the gamble of a strength skill on an elf.
I don't really know what they were going with there. But safe pair of hands is not fun either. No. Something that's worth noting that you said on stunties is the PV is halved. It doesn't inflate. So you can take these
20K
secondary skills. Yeah. You can take these secondaries and you don't have to worry about like the bloat.
You've got a goblin there, and if you give him one double, he goes up to 60K, 65K, which is fine and worth because a 60K block goblin, sure hands goblin, tackle goblin, wrestle goblin, dauntless goblin, even frenzy. Oh man, frenzy pro for Grot Brady for last season was wicked. He'd just run in there next to a guard Black Orc, take a 1 or 2 die block, and smash him again. Maybe just use pro to re-roll a push. Oh, it's wicked. It was great fun.
It instantly gives that story aspect to your team, because you have no idea where you're going until you go, okay, how am I going to use that skill? And all of a sudden, that lineman's got a little bit of difference, a little bit of uniqueness about them. Although I think in the league, I think I rolled random pro twice on alignment, which is definitely not a bad way to go in terms of
brilliant, especially for
I will be using that.
So the random thing, I think is, I don't know whether I personally thought it was going to be all that popular or all that great. I thought, oh, that's cool, that'll be fun sometimes, like for people to take a random, but sneaking in random general skills is amazing. Theming your team around randoms is brilliant too. So this is why I was kind of hoping Milton would be able to join us tonight, because he's done this with his chaos team, and he's just taken
Milton's
random
mutations.
The mutations. He's just taken a bunch of random mutations on his beastmen, and he's been like, this has been great. Like, I don't have to stress about what to take. And then very much like you just said, Trips, is a case of it builds that story element of like, okay, got the cool story, and now I've got that weird gameplay interaction where it's like, oh, how do I utilize this to the best of my abilities? Which I've been really impressed with. And I guess when wouldn't you want to take a random?
Go on, Ben.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say there are some players where you just really want a skill to make them real good. I think a lot of blocker, like strength 4 blocker players, one that just want to get block first to really just get them going. Equally, some agility players need the dodge. Some like core skills, which I think you really want to get, and then you can maybe have some fun with that.
Yeah, there's generally one or two positionals where you're like, this is the way they've got to go. It's your block player who needs dodge. It's your dodge player who needs block. That's pretty much the way.
Sorry, Valkyries.
Particularly when you're looking at going, well, this player is. I'm building my team round this player. I need them to survive next week. But there is quite often the way to go, and because they're going to be gaining SPP, you can go, well, it's going to be 2 games. I can pick the skill I need, and then I can look at where I want to go afterwards.
I agree with that. I think I might go so far as to say I don't really like the idea of random skills on any positional. Because I think there's just that little bit of optimized play that is just, it's not worth it. And I've been through this now because I've had 6 or 7 gutter runners on my Skaven team, just because they die or because I took a random skill on them to see whether I wanted to keep them or not. I had a guy missing a next game. He had some SVP, and I was like, well, I'll roll a random mutation. If he gets extra hands, extra heads, or something cool, I'll keep him and I'll play with 3 gutter runners, or I'll just bin him off and buy a replacement. I rolled it, he got claws, and then I sent him on his way. But when it comes to, like, we've got the high elf team up, we've got your white arrows up here, the blitzer, dodge, tackle, blitzer, dodge, tackle. I think it's just worth waiting the extra 2 games to get that. Big guys are the one that I think is a really interesting middle ground, because obviously the correct thing to do for a big guy is wait 6 months to get 3 casualties and then to get 6 casualties and then take block, right? But the middle ground is you take the strength skill, there's always a good strength skill for a big guy. But you could also just take a random at some point. And how do we feel about randoms on big guys?
Probably out of any like positional, like my favorite. Just because I feel like I'm someone who rarely takes them on big guys still. But I think with strength, there's no real downsides of random strength, and it's quite easy to get 3 SPP on a big guy. I don't know if I'd take random generals on them, though. I think there's way too many just whiffers for big guys. Then I'd want, like, wrestle on a big guy is not what you want to see, and things like that.
I think you can get a lot of fun with the random, but you are taking the risk of going, I've got a skill that I'm literally never going to use, and it'll be 3 more games. I do think, though, with the random skills, it depends where you are in the league. I think if you play a league with a capped number of games or something like that, you definitely see as the league goes on, people start to take more randoms because it's a case of I cannot save long enough to get this skill in, and I need an extra skill to try and get into the playoffs or detail. So you do get a few more weird team makeups.
That is a really good point, actually, Trips.
I've imagined a fun analogy because you said something about the positionals where you don't take them. Here's my fun analogy I've got in my head. Imagine you had a Swiss Army knife, and your positionals where you had like a screwdriver, a blade, a can opener, or something like that. And then imagine if you could upgrade it, and you could wait a little bit, and your screwdriver is now made of titanium and it's really strong. Or you could, roll the dice and the screwdriver now flashes really with like strobe lighting, which is really cool, but really kind of pointless. Or you have your linemen, which are just random bits of metal, which could become anything. Now, if one of them becomes a strobe light, you've now got a strobe light, which you didn't have to start off with. And that's quite fun. And so, but when you're, crafted precision tools, which are your positionals that have goals or objectives to achieve, when they start doing pointless stuff at expense, it's kind of annoying. So
Yeah, and that's it. Because the thing is, I think with positionals, you need to keep them. And your big guys, generally speaking, they're expensive and they're hard to replace. So if you do take that random general and get shadowing or fend on your big guy, it's kind of like, cool. Now I've wasted 150k. Now, that gutter runner, I would never normally bin off a gutter runner unless he was injured, but he was missing next game and I wanted a full set of gutter runners for my next match and I had the money to buy him. So I was like, well, I'll just take the random. It could be sweet and I'm happy to wait a game for a block 2 heads gutter. That's worth it. But actually, a block gutter to a vanilla gutter, not much in it. I'll just get a vanilla gutter. But otherwise, I don't think I would ever do it until, like Tripp said, it gets to the end of a league and you're just like, let's spam the skills. Might get something great, might get something that helps, which I think in itself is a really fun point of team management. Now, in our leagues, because we're doing kind of like 8-game leagues or 6-game leagues or whatever, we don't see a massive amount of TV bloat. So team value management isn't something that I think we've really had to cope with. But that element of redrafting is definitely worth discussing as well, because if you are going to be redrafting your team, one of the interesting tweaks that I don't think I'd paid attention to is that it's not about the skills your players have, it's about the seasons they've played. So if you want to take a lineman that's got 0 SPP, it's going to cost you the same as if you take a lineman who's got 12 SPP but no skills, because you are adding that extra season. So whereas I feel like in the old edition, you'd save that guy because you'd be like, well, this lineman is going to cost the same as a vanilla lineman, so I won't take a skill right now. I'll save it up and roll him over into the next season. Whereas now you have to pay per season anyway. So I don't know if with a lot of players, I think you'd be better off taking a random towards the end of the season or a random just before redrafting and then bin them off if it's no good, and you save yourself 20k plus 20k, or whatever, instead of just it's a massive difference when it comes to linemen. Having redrafted the Black Mountain Bucks, it was really interesting. I had to get rid of a couple of players because they're just that second season bloat is there even if they don't have a skill, and that was quite interesting to see. So I got rid of Barflog the Brave, who had shadowing, naturally. Grot Brady with his Pro and Frenzy. I just replaced him with a brand new Grot Brady because it was cheaper, and poor old the original Tyrone Trollkisser there, because I had to kind of like balance out that cost. I actually think that's a really good mechanic in there as well.
I quite like the redrafting with the skilling up system now. I think it doesn't completely crush a team, because you can still keep a couple of star players that you've developed through in detail. But it's also doesn't mean that a redrafted team, even though they've got the same team value, one of them is dramatically different to a newborn team now, because you haven't carried 5 or 6 players through with skills. You've carried 2 or 3. But I think the money aspect of Blood Bowl 2020 makes a big difference, because like you were saying with your gutters there, because you can really build up the money. If you dedicated fans make a big difference, scoring touchdowns make a big difference. If you can then generate that cash.
Those are a few of my favorite things.
It gives you those lots more options, and you can see Ben with his desperately saving for a bull centaur. It's like that money aspect of squad building has become really important now, because you need to replace those key positionals when you can. So dedicated fans and touchdowns make a big difference.
Well, it just needs to, just needs to play like a Skaven team.
And it makes sense. Like, I think from a thematic standpoint as well, I really like that, where the fans and the touchdowns give you the more cash. You put on a better show. So
yeah, it and that's, I guess, something else is that it feels and makes sense. It feels like you're more involved all of the time.
It really does.
It doesn't feel like you get shafted a lot by the system. Like, I remember the old season, it was very much you finished a game and you're like, I didn't get any skill ups. I got nothing going on. Ian rolled a strength up and a edge up, and I got nothing, like literally nothing. And I rolled a 2.
I won 3-0.
Yeah, I won 3-0. I got nothing, and I rolled a 2 on the winnings, so I actually got 40k. So I can't even buy a new lineman. But actually now it's like you win big, you earn big. And even if your MVP is fully random and goes on a lineman, even at a level 2 lineman, you can take a random. Which
that could be a 20k kicker. Oh, sorry, a 10k kicker in most cases.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really cool way to do it. And I've thoroughly enjoyed this edition of Tabletop with that skill system. I think it's brilliant. The only tweak would be maybe if we dropped the SPP limit for stat ups a little bit down.
I don't know. I actually do like where it is.
Yeah,
I think
like
that. Yeah, that big stretch goal. I think if it was dropped, we'd probably see more people taking it, but I think at detriment. And then I think we're starting to get the random high rolls of strength back again. I think where it is a real goal you can go for. That is a huge risk that we rarely ever see, but we have seen it. And
it's a rare specialty. Unless you are absolutely cramming in the Blood Bowl 3 games. Because I got this theory, right? I love gutter runners because they're movement 9. Skaven as a fast team anyway, it's just wicked. And I thought, do you know what would be really fun to do is get a movement 9 thrower. So I did it in Blood Bowl 3, jamming some games. Because it doesn't take very long. You know, you score a couple of TDs against the AI. That is not hard. A couple of 5-0 wins against the AI, and you're basically there. And I did it. I took my random on the skill up and got my extra movement. And I got to actually experiment with something that I think is just horrifically potent. I was watching the NFL, and obviously the shift recently has been to super speedy quarterbacks. Like, busted. It's just like everyone's gone, oh, you know what? Mike Vick was really good, apart from the whole, dogfighting thing. Yeah. And now they've got Jalen Hurts, who is just this massively speedy quarterback. And it's like, he is a runner. And I thought, well, actually, you know what? Having a movement 9 thrower for Skaven is just filthy. And it really is. And I got to try it out.
It takes a lot of work not in against AI, though.
Yes. Well,
to get 5-0 wins with a thrower is really quite tricky.
Yeah, against the AI was great. And this is something I have always said would be really good with Blood Bowl 3 is even with the trash AI, it means you can try out different skill sets and try brewing different up teams, which has been really good. But I know that Trips mentioned this earlier, that we're starting to see the fact you can play 3 games of Blood Bowl 3 in an evening. I think at the moment 3 games of Blood Bowl 3 in an evening is probably a bit much, but I think it can be done. I mean, it's not unreasonable to get 10 games of Blood Bowl 3 in a week now, if that's what you want to do. That's a lot of games, right? That's 4-5 months of tabletop club, basically, for us, where we have a casual club of two games a month. Even 1 game a week, that is 2.5 months you can do in a week's worth of stuff. And actually saving those SPP, keeping your TV low, especially if the ranking system looks at team value, which I think is the best way to do it, you are going to be able to grind out SPP and save up and get those strength rolls, get those speed rolls. And Trips, you said you'd seen some chunky boy teams kicking around. Is this what we're starting to see? Is it coming true?
Yeah, I think it's definitely coming true, and particularly with where the game is at the moment, that there's either people playing it a lot or people popping in and playing the odd game here or there. I think the people who are on it and playing quite a lot, you can really rack those TVs up and really, really go for those details. Interestingly, just seeing a lot of very high skilled teams with 8 rerolls and maxing out on that front.
That's fun.
I think not really optimized the whole build. So, and there's no real reason at the moment to worry about team bloat within the game. So,
as long as the matching system on Blood Bowl 3 is reasonable, even from a team value point of view, then I think that'll be okay. But when it comes to ranked ladder, right? Is saving for the stat up going to be the thing you have to do?
I think because of the amount of TV that it impacts on your team, it might not be the thing to do unless you genuinely get the right stat up, because there still is that random nature of you can't pick your stat up that you want. So I think that's going to make a big difference to it. And you are very much relying on the fact that someone just doesn't roll really well and kill your player that you've saved all week to skill up.
That's true, but I feel like what we might see a bit of a shift in that way of doing that is the first skill is a stat up. If it goes well, you keep him and you brew him up, because a strength 4 Elven Blitzer of any description, chef's kiss. Like, from that point, then you just save 8 SPP, get dodge, and then you've got a strength 4 blodger, and then you're basically just an Amazon team, right?
You get a strength 4 blitzing elf, and that guy is going to rack the SPP up.
It's interesting. I think I'm here for it.
I'd like to see it, because what we haven't seen yet, because of the way the system works, is those star players that you used to create with the stat ups have very much gone, and they've been replaced by actual star players who've got stat ups and different stats, and we've seen them in the tournament builds. What we've not really seen is the interactions between homebrewed stars and those established stars being used through inducements yet. So that will be interesting. Can someone brew up a 1700 team, and then can someone come along with a 1300 team, stick Griff in it,
beat them with Griff?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I will say is that Buzz Justice has built up an identity in the Entoyment League, and that has made me very happy, because that is something that was great in the old edition, is you had a couple of named players that just had a skill set that you're just like, oh, that guy, like, and they would get fouled because of it. When I play Entoyment League, everyone hates gutter runners, but everybody will target Buzz Justice because he's like my pseudo star player, and that is definitely something that is missing from this edition. I have no idea. I've got no idea if anyone at Wobble or Entoyment has got a particularly special player. Whereas in the Arst edition, it would be like, oh yeah, James's Adge. Do you remember James's Adge 4 Dwarf Runner who got a leap and then jumped into his own death like immediately? Like, that's such a cool story. That is missing from this edition. And I don't think that's coming back.
Yeah. But, although I think a part of what's making that miss from this edition, and this is no complaint about tour play, because tour play is wonderful, because tour play has taken away a lot of the working it through in detail, and it's in a drop-down menu of what skill can I get, and it's auto-rolled. It's a lot easier to do it. You don't need to be at club to go through your skill ups in detail. You don't need to watch someone go, how did you manage to roll 3 double sixes?
Saxby. Yeah, I think that's a really fair shout. So I think it's brilliant for tabletop. And I don't know if you guys agree with this one, but I think it has kept every game playable. And I've hardly seen any unfun games kicking around. I don't think I have seen any from a matchup point of view. Like, obviously, if you're having a salty day, you can be unfun to play against, but that's part of being human. But from a TV on pitch standpoint, I've not seen any runaways. And as much as bombers are not a huge amount of fun, they are a threat, right? And actually, if you go, I've got a big TV. I think Drew might take Cindy then tomorrow. Actually,
I wouldn't be surprised. Cindy comes up into the pitch tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, because actually it's a reasonable way to balance it out. Come on, Edge 4. Come on, Edge 2+. Let's catch it with the throw it right back. I like that, and I think the star players, even though they feel egregious, I think star players are actually bang on for leagues, with the exception of bomber spam, obviously. But actually, if you're 300k up and your opponent can therefore induce Griff, that feels fair. Like, that's fine.
I think as fair as it kind of could be. Yeah.
I think we'll see it more in the BB3 ladder.
Yeah.
Because it's more about a ladder than skilling up your team in detail. So some of the great star players will literally suck every SPP out of the game, and then your team will by nature plateau because you can't build up anything other than MVPs.
I'm really interested to see how Blood Bowl 3 ladder is going to go. I don't know if it's going to be. I feel like the 2020 tabletop is a really well done like climate. I think it works really well. Blood Bowl 3, it's going to get real gamey, and I think it's going to warp Blood Bowl a massive amount. Blood Bowl 2 did a little bit, but I don't know. There wasn't that. I think Trips, you've called it. I think there's going to be some TV management when it comes to I want to be able to run stars, but also I think we're going to see a whole bunch of saved SPP for just egregious like Edge builds.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And
as an
when you don't have a
player,
game cap, it's a lot easier to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of Edge plus movement plus teams, which is just going to be really good Blood Bowl. Because strength is 80k. That's massive. Like that is a huge amount isn't it?
Yeah.
That is a chunky boy. Like that's a big impact. Like it'd be great having a strength 4 pair of like blitzers on any team. But that is 160k just for that. That's a lot of skills. That's a lot of stuff. That's a wizard. That's a lot of interesting fireback. So I don't think we'll see a ton of strength, but I do think we'll see a ton of movement and edge maybe, because it's just movement versus dodge is an interesting one. Movement versus block is an interesting one. Edge definitely wins, but it'll be fun to watch Blood Bowl 3 unfurl in that one, because
I think some players already have dodge. I can see like movement 10 catches on human teams being pretty obscene.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Movement 9 cap.
9. Oh, it's cap isn't it? 9, yeah, of course, because the gutter.
I think that will help
because of gutter runners.
Yeah,
yeah, that will help with the capping. I think we will see a few different positions where you look at it and you go, how, what, which skill? Oh,
honestly, Skaven throwers with movement boost is brilliant.
Yeah, that is pretty great,
because they don't really need accurate or on the ball.
They don't really need much.
They don't need anything. So actually, just making them more useful and having that movement is phenomenal, because then you can just start brewing up a team of movement 9 stuff, and that is just horrific. Because then your thrower is just like 9 squares of movement and then a 6 square throw on a 3+, but it's just filth. It's amazing. And I'd be really interested to see how that plays out. But yeah, any last thoughts on the way that league and teams are brewing up?
Not for me. It's pretty good.
I think for me, I think it's made league really have its own identity. A league is not like a tournament in any way at all, because of the random nature of the way it plays. Yes, you can get random skill tournaments, but it's very much into, you either lean into the random, or you try and build your team the way you want to, or you do a bit of madness and you do a little bit of both, and you just see where it takes you.
But we always talked about your league team being your franchise, building your franchise, and I think the way it's balanced out now, it is really exciting to do, and you can get something out of tabletop league that you can't get anywhere else. Like, I love tournaments, I love constructed Blood Bowl, I think it's wicked. But actually, brewing up your team with your stuff at a reasonable pace against other teams that are also growing at a reasonable pace creates an environment, creates a franchise, and is undoubtedly the best way to play Blood Bowl. It's even better than Blood Bowl 7s. Just like Brexit margin, but it's still pretty great. Right, guys, I think it's probably about time we wrapped up for this evening. Any more for any more, or are we all good?
No, I'm all good.
Amazing. Well, guys, thanks very much for jumping on. It's always nice to talk Blood Bowl with you boys. And yeah, guys, thanks very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking.